Thank you so much, Randy. I'm so excited to be here again. I love that you do this. I love you. I love everything Mata Harima said. Actually, I'm really, really glad that she went first. So mine's going to be short, but that is because I'm a neurospicy leadership development coach. And what I know for my brain and my spice is that I'm really good at the like intellectual side of all of this. All that makes sense. I was like, the tracking tracks, the patterns pattern, yes. What I struggled with the most was embodying that, right? I could logically know, let your freak flag fly. That's how the other freaks can find you. And then also allowing my nervous system to regulate around that reality has been a whole thing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. When the world gets loud, how we can regulate using the Cara method. And this is all about actionable tools from the spice rack for that sensory chaos and emotional storms. It's going to be interactive, it's going to be real talk, it's going to be structured reflections and actions. It is straight from my, slow it down, neurospicy leadership mind, direct, simple, embodied, and engaging. Ultimately, I want to help normalize the neurodivergent needs, the reality that the neurodivergent brain is at all times processing so many patterns and making connections. And we can build agency for ourselves through micro actions. We're going to recognize a lot of those signals that Mata Harima was talking about of overwhelm, overload, or emotional hijacking, and get out of our heads and back into our body with some experiences. And then I'm going to give you this as a repeatable regulation framework so that you have this experience that is also actionable going forward. So let's start. Are we ready? We're going to clarify first. So just show of hands or, just shout, that's me, into the comments. Raise your hand if your brain has ever melted down in the middle of a conversation, a meeting, just walking into a store because the senses are sensory and the world is very loud. And now my system is dysregulated. I have. So let's start by clarifying something I believe everyone here will know, and it's important to say out loud. Our system is giving us information, not attitude. It might feel like attitude, but it's information. So let's experience that. Are we ready? We're going to go directly into some actionables. Go ahead and place one hand on your chest and one hand on, oh, you can't see that down there, down here on your belly. Okay. And then close your eyes for just a few seconds. What is loud in your mind right now, in your world right now? And is it the same as what is loud in your body? Just take a second, not with judgmentalness. We're not attaching that right and wrong, like Mata Harima said, right? Positive, negative, or relative. Just feel what is going on in your brain and where it's showing up in your body. Your body talks louder when we've been ignoring the whispers. So let's learn to listen before it starts screaming at us as an option. So now that we have clarified that it is the brain-body connection that allows the meat suit universe that is us to navigate a universe full of other meat suits, let's assess how we do that. And I love that Mata Hari the circles because I use a not dissimilar way. The thing that I do is I call it the magic three. And instead of there being three parts, there's just two. So think of it as like either side of your brain, right? There's two sides of your brain, there's two sides of life, things you can control and things you cannot. Of the things that you can control, there are only three: how you think, how you speak, how you behave. To Stephen Covey's point, behavior is how we influence, and speaking is how we influence. So there's a little crossover there, which I think is worth saying. And I've simplified it down to three. So now that we know that things are up in our world, how do we figure out what it is and what to do next without falling into a complete meltdown or spiral. So check yourself, back of your heart and your belly, right? Do a little magic 3 check-in right now. What are you thinking about right now? That this feels woo-woo, also hard, and oddly working? Love that for me. What are you speaking to yourself? That internal voice? Are you saying loving, kind, supportive, understanding, grace-filled things? Or like so many of us, are you maybe a little vindictive, mean, and rude to yourself? No judgmentalness, just and what are you doing or not doing and avoiding? Where is that showing up? If you can answer that question, then here's a really quick tool. Sensory thermometer is what we're going to call this. And it's a really quick scale from 1 to 5. So 1 being like, I am so calm, I am a Zen master, to 5, which is I am literally on the cusp of a meltdown, perhaps already in burnout and headed towards shutdown. Okay. It's a quick assessment on a scale of 1 through 10. How's your mental noise right now? Are you just here watching the summit, or do you have 16 tabs open while also doing something on your phone and the TV is going in the background while you're also in the no judgment, fullness. But on a scale of 1 to 5, how is your mental noise? How about sound sensitivity? Are you locked in with earbuds so it's all pretty quiet right now? We're not getting a lot of, or is it one of those days where you're listening to the summit plus you have music going and the TV is on? On a scale of what? Of calm to meltdown. How's your sound sensitivity right now? Mental sound. Touch. How are you feeling in your clothes, in your chair, in your body? How's the touch, comfort or discomfort? How about emotional intensity? Like everything is going great. My brain is actually pretty aligned and it's not too loud and I'm really comfortable in my clothes, but I am like vibrating right now. Like, is it good? I don't know. It's emotion. On a scale of 1 through 5. This is a really fast embodied tool that we can use to assess not only how we're thinking, speaking, and behaving, but how that shows up in all of those places. What is the mental noise? What is our sound sensitivity? How is our touch comfort level? And how about that emotional intensity? To Mata Harima's point, simply becoming aware of it is what's going to allow you to impact that. I just saw the spice rack thing popped up. That is one of the tools in the spice rack. There you go. So we always, in the Cara method, we clarify some basic over-understanding. Turns out you're a meat suit full of hormone soup, and if you don't acknowledge the meat suit and the hormone soup, one or the other is going to shut down. And then we assess our magic 3. What can we do to actually impact that for ourselves? But we always realign around the we of it. If we've done the me work, then we get to do the we work. So regulation isn't about calming down. It's about coming back to you. To Randy's point, I don't need you to calm down. Be loud, be big, be bright, be shiny. Love that. If you are too much, that's just enough for me. If you're not enough, also just enough for me. I love that. I'm in here for that. Regulating our nervous system is reminding ourselves that no matter what our brain is saying, we're not actually being chased by a tiger right now. And we can address the situation from ourselves. So here is a really fun realignment strategies menu. Here are some practical more things that you can tangibly do right here, right now, if any of those things are coming up. So I'm going to invite you to choose the one you need most right now. We're going to start with either resetting our breath. Try smell the soup, cool the soup, in like a flower, out like a candle. The fun thing about breath regulation is there are so many layers to the connections around why this works so well. So, not only is it a parasympathetic nervous system regulation tool of oxygen to the brain, in the English language, inspiration, like your brain is inspired to some creative front, is the same word as inspiration, like inhalation. So often inspiration leads to inspiration because your parasympathetic nervous system settles down and your brain can function better. Smell the flower, blow out the candle. Smell the soup, blow out the soup. Swapping a sensory input, noise canceling headphones, weighted hoodies or blankets, different textures. One of my favorite tools is to go get those sensory stickers, and like one part is fuzzy and one part is rough and one part is bumpy and one part's really smooth, and just being able to navigate all of those so that my brain has something to attach to specifically. I love it. I love it. Shift in environment. Literally go outside. Just stand up. Shut the door. Open a cabinet, unless you get irritated by that, in which case open it and shut it again. Love that for you. Sit underneath a table. I cannot tell you how many times having a tiny human simply getting down onto the ground and experiencing the world from a different point of view literally changed my point of view. Things that were wholly insurmountable 5 minutes ago, I'm like, oh, but if you look at it like that, hmm. So that's another one of those parasympathetic nervous system resets. You can't go and do a thing if you're being chased by a tiger. So if your body is freaking out, if your brain is freaking out, for all of the very valid reasons, you can give it something to hold on to. Yes, don't fit into the box. Sit in the box. Stand in the box. Kick the box. Yeah. Regulation words. Saying things like, I need a body break. I've been sitting in a stationary spot for a really long time. I don't know any of your fixation times. If anybody else has gone 16 hours without eating, drinking, or going to the bathroom because your brain is locked in. And then you come out and you're like, I'm tired, I'm cranky, I'm angry, the world is mean. And then you go to the bathroom, drink some water, and eat some food, and you're like, life is pretty good, actually, not that big a deal anymore. So being able to teach ourselves to hear when our body needs a break, especially since as a neurodivergent human, we are often taught to not listen to our bodies. Don't stem, be quiet. Make sure you're holding still. I don't care if the clothes are uncomfortable, just be here. And so we learn to tamp down all of those whispers until our body starts screaming. And by that point, we're already well over the hump, and backpedaling can be really hard. Or saying things simply like, my brain is buffering. When people say things and you need just that extra minute to process, you can go, buffering. Okay, my thought on that is you are allowed to have regulation words, regulation statements to not only communicate that to yourself and your own body that you are listening, but to let other people know that we're doing this with them. So I'm going to say those 4 again. I would love to hear in the comments which one you would love the most. Resetting with our breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Swapping sensory inputs, quieting the world with weighted blankets, noise canceling, texture play. Shifting our environments, literally getting out of the place we are feeling stuck into somewhere else so that we can come back literally 5 seconds different, but an entirely different human being sometimes. And then regulation words, being able to hear our body and speak for it to ourselves and others. 404 shortcut. Yes. I love those as regulation words. So the world, when we talk about the realigning around the we of life, the world will not always adapt. I think anybody in this space is like, yeah, I know. That's why we're so good at adapting. And you can build micro systems that help you recenter faster. One of the greatest gifts of a neurodivergent brain is that we don't have problems. We have systems for that. Here are some systems for that. And with this, we get to achieve. We get to achieve where we stop waiting for the world to calm down. I'm going to validate that feeling. And we spend a lot of time waiting. That's one of those things we can't control. Refer back to Mata Harima, right? What we can do is start building rituals that work for our brains. What does that mean for what you need in this moment? So, quick writing prompt. I'm going to leave you with a to-doable today. What's one rescue move that you can use next time you feel yourself slipping into that sensory or emotional overload void? Doesn't have to be the right answer. You may change it over and over again, especially if this is new and you're just starting to embody your own experience and get out of the headspace and start listening into this. Trust that you will get a lot of things wrong, and that's actually winning. So settle your nervous system into that. Failure isn't failure if we're learning. And practicing in this space, allowing yourself to figure out what rescue moves work in which situations will fill out your spice rack, your toolkit of things that you can do. So let's clarify and wrap all of this up one more time through the CARE method. Clarify what is really happening, not just how am I reacting to it. There is what is within me, there is what is within you, and then there is reality somewhere in the middle of that Venn diagram. So what's really happening? Is the world just too loud? Do your armpits itch to a point where you literally can't think of anything else? Everything is harder when your armpits itch. And then you don't have to react. You can respond. Then we're going to assess the signals. Use that sensory thermometer. Use your magic 3. Feel what your body is trying to say to you instead of thinking of it as a overreactive teenager who you're tired of. Valid as that feeling might be, what if it was just your body and your brain trying to communicate that things are not right now? What if you're not broken? What if it's just communication? And then realign with tiny actions that work for your body. The reason that that is so powerful in a we space is if you are taking care of yourself, not only do you get to model for other people how they can do that, you also get to gift the world a healthier you. And wouldn't it be nice if everybody did that? And that is how you achieve peace, power, presence, but not perfection, because that has never been the goal. Sensory overload is not a personality flaw. It is not a broken brain. It is not a damage, something that needs fixing. Emotional dysregulation is not a failure. They are signs that you are alive, that you are aware, and that you need a rest. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to know yourself. And that is what the Cara method is for, to practice building those neural pathways, not just being intellectually capable of navigating the world, but also emotionally and physically capable. And the thing is, you have those skills, permission to practice them. I believe in you.